was trying to make $1 million, but at the end of it, I owed $1 million. I went to California at 18, and I didn't even have any Facebook friends there or anything like that, you know.
Keep on stinging me, baby, just because.
My name is Jenni Davidson, and I'm going to talk to musician Peter Case about his work and his life.
Home at 15 and started playing music. You know, I dropped out of school against my parents' wishes, became a musician. I worked for a while out on the East Coast, but I was intrigued by California, and a lot of great music had come out of there, and I sort of had, you know, dreams of going out there and being part of it, and so I did.
On the hills outside of town, there's a hiding place where the green fields sway with lavender, mustard and Queen Anne's lace, where the silent clouds go sailing in a sea of Dutchman's blue, and the lonesome tracks by the railroad cut made me think of you and a train we missed.
For quite a few years, I was a street singer, you know, and busking, and then I got in the band The Nerves. The guy came down and got me right off the street. He came down and said, "How much money are you making out here?" And I go, "Well," I lied and I said, "I'm making $50 a day." And then he lied and he said, "I'll double that if you join The Nerves." We started hitting the road in '76, and then we went out as the opening act for the Ramones. '77, and made a record that came out in the summer of '76. Actually, it was hanging on the telephone and that. So, you know, it does look like I've done a lot of genres, but really what's always held it together is songs.
Little thing called On the Way Downtown. When I hit the door, the promise of something worth living for. I
learned how to play in a rock and roll band, you know, and that was sort of the first step, was like writing songs that the band could play. It was like so exciting, you know. You write a song and the band could play it, but it had to be a song within a certain parameter so the band could play it, or it would be too complicated. In The Nerves, they were doing like 2-minute songs. And then in my next band, the Plimsolls, we started doing like 3-minute songs. And then I went solo and I started doing 4 or 5-minute songs, you know.
Driving 12 hours after the show, made the border at dawn and kept going. The moon crossed my path, I was doing the math. Will we make it? I was no way of knowing.
I mean, I love Little Richard songs, you know, and they're like 2 minutes long, but I love Bob Dylan. And, it's the marriage of lyrics and music, you know. Sometimes I write the lyrics first, and sometimes you write the music first, you know, and it comes different ways. I get them every way I can get them, you know, but a song's not the same as a poem or something, you know. I'm not a poet, you know, so I see myself as a songwriter, you know.
Well, she died 9/11, but the cops didn't come on time. They found her on the marble with a bullet through her eye. He was leaving back and forth, foaming at the lips. So they took him in for questioning and inked his fingertips.
So what was San Francisco like at that time when you were there?
It was great, you know. It was quite different than it is now, because for one thing, there was less people there. It became part of the .com explosion, and it really changed its nature. At that time in '73, there were a lot of people wandering the world, and there are now too. But at that time, there was a certain kind of thing where, like, a lot of people were just like, I'm tired of work and school and my family and whatever they were doing, and they all just seemed to end up on the West Coast in the U.S.
But no one knows what happened, no one else was there. No trial day was ever sad, no one seems to care. There's two kinds of justice, everybody knows. One for folks up on the hill, the others down below.
And so there was a lot of crazy things going on there, and it was right during the Reagan administration, so a lot of people were being let out of the mental hospitals and stuff. There was no longer any care for people like that, so the streets were like actually kind of de facto mental institution as well. It was really, that was disturbing about it. But it was very beautiful too. In 1973 and 4, there was sort of the start of an explosion of creativity. There was like poetry and there was like song and like punk. The punk thing was really just starting in '74 with Patti Smith and all that. And it was starting also in San Francisco, you know, and we started it, you know, with some other people, you know, our friends, you know. So it was exciting.
Well, I went down to my praying ground, fell on my bed knee. I ain't crying no religion, sent my baby back home to me. Broke down engine, ain't got no whistle repair. Feel like a broke down engine, mama, I got a whistle repair.
And punk's sort of always associated with anger. Were you really angry at that time?
Oh yeah, we were angry, you know. When you started trying to deal with the record business and stuff like that, you really got angry, you know.
Yeah.
So we did get kind of angry, and plus everybody was just angry because it was just the fashion and all that.
Feel like broke down engine, ain't got no drive at all. Feel like a broke down engine, mama, I got no drive at all. Hey, it's a house with it's a house with well, there's people in the kitchen I ain't seen before. This place on all the bunch.
I took a break after the Nerves. We had another band called the Breakaways that was basically the Nerves with another guitar player, and we made an album that came out about a year or two ago that I didn't even know we'd made. You know, somehow I'd forgotten, and we made it, and like it showed up, and it came out on Alive Records. It's like the Breakaways album called Walking Out on Love. And it's actually, you know, we made demos and recorded, and we were trying to get a record deal, but we just couldn't in California at the time. You sort of had to be either related to the Grateful Dead directly or, you know, part of the disco thing or something. I started playing in the country and western bar 5 nights a week, 5 sets a night, you know, playing, was backing up a blind guitar player named Doc Hofstetter, and the other guys in that band decided to join up with me permanently and be the Plimsolls, and so that was like a rock and roll band that became like a really popular band in LA at the time.
Tap on the phone like a silent keg, juices running down the floor. Here comes a girl in a submarine, in a green dress like a dinosaur. Well, it's a free country, but it sure ain't cheap. Now do your angles when you're in too deep. The party's over and the money's spent. Here comes Monday and we ain't got red. That's a house ranch up.
Somewhere in there, you know, I started wanting to write better songs. And I was thinking about Buddy Holly, and I was in this terrible bar, you know, and I was like, is this really exactly what I want to be doing? And I started thinking more, you know, about, and then I started writing I just started trying to write better songs, like songs that you could just play on a guitar for anyone. You didn't have to have the whole band and everything. I just tried to just get back to my roots as sort of a singer-songwriter, and I love blues players ever since I was a kid, you know. The place I come from, there was a lot of blues, and I love the people that could just come out with a guitar and just do their thing on their own, you know.
It's good practice in case there's like an international apocalypse. We need to have some like entertainment. I think we should probably turn all the lights out in here too. I'm really gonna feel for it. The old man on the corner is singing my life. He's playing guitar with a rusty old knife.
So I think that element of that started coming into my work, and so I started trying to write these songs that sort of the whole thing would be in the one-man performance. It could be, you know, you could have more, but you could also just strip it down to its very, you know, essential value as a guitar and a voice and a melody and a words, you know.
Now you and me, darling, we took a long way around. Across the wide open country, past the heart attack town.
I got to deal with Geffen Records, with David Geffen. It was sort of an early period for that kind of music, so really there weren't that many people doing it. And they kind of thought I was crazy and leaving. They wanted me to be more like Guns N' Roses or something, you know what I mean? I was going in this more acoustic direction, but it made sense to me, you know, so I just stuck with it.
Never before in history is this time that's so open arms. You never heard such misery as those bloodhounds cross the farms.
It seemed like at the time I had to make a choice, you know. I'm like, are you going to be a band or are you going to be a folk singer? You know? And I go, well, I'm going to be a folk singer, you know, because that's what I really wanted to do, you know. In a sense, almost like starting to play with bands was, in a way, I turned my back on what I'd been doing up to that point, but I just really wanted to be in a band, and you know, I didn't see any other way off the street. I didn't really have like a vision for myself to make it as a folk singer in '74. You know, I wasn't like one of these like super self-directed kind of like superstars that like come out and like know exactly what they want to do.
Sounds where the emergency, no evidence was enough. You never heard such theories, but none of them could then prove. They work at a place called the Garden of Earthly Delight, and the tourists pouring from all over to take in the sight.
You did a tribute album to Mississippi John Hurt.
We did do that. You know, that started because I go into the guy at Vanguard. You know, somebody should do a Mississippi John Hurt tribute record. He goes, great, why don't you do it? You're hired, you know, do it. Okay. And that involved Chris Smitherd, Lucinda Williams, I knew, loved him, Steve Earle, Bill Morris, he was just one guy. And then I called some people I didn't know, but I knew that I'd heard that they were into John Hurt, and that involved Beck. And I had met Taj Mahal, I'd done a gig with him, but he was the hardest guy to get on the project because his manager was such a tough guy to deal with. Finally, I got a direct number for Taj Mahal, and then that was like instantaneous, we got it done. So I think they're still selling it in the Mississippi John Hurt band. They have the tribute to Mississippi John Hurt, so that's nice, you know.
And the afternoon goes on forever, like some drunken bomb, till the sun finally drowns beneath the bridge and the night is begun.
You were taken ill a few years ago, weren't you, with heart problems, and a lot of musicians, including I think T-Bone Burnett, got behind you and fans, and you know, really raised money to sort of support you during that time. I mean, how much did that mean to you?
Well, it meant a lot to me. When my children were small, I had that insurance, but then the prices on it went up and everything like that. I could no longer afford it for myself, and I knew I wasn't doing well. And but I was trying to, like, you know, figure out what to do. So you don't really go to the doctor because you don't have any coverage, and so finally I had to go, and it was a huge bill, you know. But the hospital, it was a Catholic hospital, and they did take care of me in a lot of ways. But then Loudon Wainwright and Van Dyke Parks and T-Bone and just a whole group of people came out. Dave Alvin came out and did a show for me. They did like a weekend of shows, and yeah, I mean, it's really humbling in one effect, you know. And you know, I said to Van Dyke, you know, thank you so much, and he's like, this is what we do, you know. And he's right, you know, it's a community, and like everybody, you know, I play on those shows too. You know, now I'm insured for everything except my heart. You know?
In these empty rooms, the guitar makes a band.
After you get through something like that, you just kind of think, like, you know, well, I've just been through the thing that I always knew might happen. Like, all the men in my family died at around 60, you know what I mean? And I knew I was coming for a reckoning, and now I'm through it. You know, it's like, you know, it's like a big relief.
Oh, come on down, ain't gonna worry no more. Cause everybody's laughing now, it won't be long. We've seen a lot of trouble, now the ghost is gone. Come on down, ain't gonna worry no more.
And you're back touring.
I'm finally off in the middle of July for a month and a half or something like that. I go back out again in the middle of September. So yeah, I just keep working. Hopefully I'm going to go home at that point and finish my second book and finish another album. Just keep working, you know.
See where you go from here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He held the leather-bound Bible up with two hands and swung it down over her head. He can tell you all about the sins of man, but he must have skipped the words you read.
It's been really nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too. All right, good. Thank you.
Words in red, words in red.
I remember sitting around with the Ramones one time and somebody goes, "The Nerves and the Ramones should jam after the show." And Didi Ramone says, "We don't know how to jam." Nobody knew how to jam, you know.